Hello everyone, I'm here with Milan Bhayana. Maybe I pronounced it wrong, I apologize. You're like a young superstar. I think you played your first Pro Tour at age 13. You're currently 15 if I'm not mistaken. So I thought it would be just interesting to talk to you. I didn't talk to anyone this young in any of my interviews. So it will be interesting, I think. How is it going, man?
It's going pretty well. Yeah, I did qualify for my first Pro Tour at 13, which is a pretty awesome thing to do. And basically ever since then, I've been playing competitive Magic off and on. I re-qualified 2 months ago for a Pro Tour off of Magic Online, which is a pretty awesome thing to be able to do. I play a lot of Magic still. I work with a couple different teams. I brew a lot, but I'm mainly a constructed player.
Mm-hmm. What was the first Pro Tour that you qualified for? Do you remember the deck that you played?
I do. Pro Tour Barcelona 2 years ago now. It was the middle of Hogak summer. Everyone was playing Hogak, and of course, I played Jund. Not my greatest choice.
Why did you everyone knew that people are just gonna play Hogak? Did you not know that, or?
No, so I really thought that after the ban, Hogak was a really powerful deck, and I had been testing it the entire week before, and I think I had a list I really liked. And then Canister went off and won the Modern Challenge 12-0, and I was like, whoa, I don't think this deck can beat the hate. And so without testing it, which was my mistake, I was like, okay, we're going to switch to a deck I'm more comfortable with that I think can beat all the hate that will show up this week. So I decided to switch to Jund, and then promptly lost to Hogak multiple times.
All right, so you played Jund and you got crushed, I assume, or how did it go?
Yeah, I went 1-2. I beat humans, which makes a lot of sense if you're playing Jund, and then I ended up losing to Is It Phoenix twice.
Okay, and then yeah, just go ahead. Sorry.
My draft portion went similarly terribly. Once again, I think I made a pretty big mistake in the very first pick of the draft. I had an option between a Man of War, a really powerful blue common, and a Crashing Footfalls, which
it's a make really 2/4. It's like yeah.
In Modern Horizons, the general strategy we had come up with was basically draft blue, which ended up being really successful in my testing. I had like a 65% win rate, even against the other Pro Tour level players. But of course, seeing 2 blue cards in the pack, I was like, oh, I bet I can play some mind games here on all the other people at this table. And so I tried to take the Crashing Footfalls and ship the 2 good blue cards to the left. And of course, my deck ended up being a complete train wreck. And if I had taken the Man of War, I could have ended up with a triple Man of War ninja deck.
Wow. Well, that's kind of sad. So besides that, you played another Pro Tour, right?
Well, I haven't played it yet. I've qualified, but I'll obviously have to wait until COVID is over or work out something with Wizards, as they don't allow players under 18 to participate.
Yeah, I wanted to ask about that. I'm not sure if it was you specifically. I think it might have been you, but there was an issue on Twitter that someone under 18 couldn't enter certain tournament. Was that you?
No, it was actually one of my teammates who qualified a month later, who decided to take it to Twitter and try to see if he could get it changed that way.
Because I'm not under 18, I don't actually know how it works. You probably know more about it than I do. So the viewers are probably also interested in that. Do you have issues with your age with Magic?
So generally, in paper, I've had no issues. Wizards has been really nice. I know they're willing to give you certificates to show that you played in the event for school, so that you could get passes if you miss a Friday to go to a GP. But once a lot of things switched to online due to the gambling rules, Wizards started to make it over 18 only to play in the Pro Tour. And so obviously the issue there is a lot of really good Magic players are under 18 and have recently qualified for these Pro Tours, which we aren't allowed to play.
Oh, That must like do you, how do you like what do you do about a situation like it must be hard to find motivation if you cannot actually play on the biggest level, right? Like even if you're not qualified, just the fact that you might be potentially means that a lot of people try, but if that like you know, if you don't have that, like what do you do?
Yeah, I know Wizards. I've talked to them, and I know that they're very good at resolving this sort of situation. And so it's sad that I can't play a Pro Tour right now. I think that in the future I'll definitely get an opportunity to.
Mm-hmm. So we kind of like jumped into what I wanted to talk about later immediately. Actually the first thing that I wanted to ask about, but I kind of forgot about it, is that like when I asked you what's interesting about you, you mentioned that you have like a relatively successful TikTok account about cooking. You know, maybe people who are on like Twitter are maybe in like the 30s and stuff like that, so they don't really use TikTok, but like a lot of people even in my age around me are like getting into it a lot. How long are you doing it? Like what is going on with it?
So I started around 4 months ago during winter break with my sister. I love to cook. It's one of my main hobbies other than Magic. And my sister loves to film. So we decided to work together and shoot some TikToks. And it's done really well. We almost have 250,000 subscribers. Wow. And so, yeah, I film 2 or 3 videos a week alongside all the Magic work I do, which ends up being pretty busy, but I love doing it.
Yeah, I heard like getting attention on TikTok is like pretty easy now. Like there are like not that many people putting out videos compared to how many people are watching. Like, was it just easy for you to get followers immediately, or is there like anything specific about what you're doing there?
I think we got pretty lucky. We had some decent looking videos and we had a fun ideas for them. And so TikTok, for some reason, decided that it liked our videos. And so they've all done really well. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I definitely do think there's a lot less TikTok content out there than there are people who are watching. So I wouldn't even say that our videos are particularly good, but lots of people seem to enjoy them.
Wow. Did you ever consider to like make content for Magic on TikTok? It probably like kind of hard to do that, but it's probably possible, right? Yeah,
a lot of the issue is that most Magic players are on the like older-ish side, like millennials, while most TikTok users are a lot younger, like 15, 16. So it just means there's a lot less of an audience on TikTok than there is on Twitter or places like that.
You mean for Magic, right?
For Magic.
Okay. Let's get into Magic a little bit, just from like, you know, the fact, like when we talk about the draft and stuff, like it seems that you have like a pretty good understanding of the game, but you're like super young. It seems like kind of crazy to me. I definitely wasn't that good at your age. How did that like happen? Are you just like playing since you were super young, or are you just like are you a genius, or like what is going on?
I think I started playing when I was 11, so not super young, but I ended up having just a whole lot of free time, and a lot of my closest friends also got really into Magic. So for the first couple years when I played Magic competitively, I would always go everywhere with my best friend. And so that really meant that I'd always have someone to test with. There'd always be someone who I could play games with, and I think that helped us both get better a lot because we just had someone there 24/7 to play games against.
Oh, is it like a friend from your school or something?
Yeah, my like childhood best friend went to GPs with me, and we did all that stuff together.
So since you were 11, like did you jump into like online as well immediately, or did that take time?
I really only started getting into online during quarantine.
Oh, I see.
I always preferred playing in person. I love the social aspect of Magic. It's a big part of its appeal to me. And so I would mainly go to my F&M or PTQs around the area. But obviously, once quarantine started, I couldn't really do that. So I started getting into Magic Online and Magic Arena.
Mm-hmm. I don't get to talk to someone who is 15 every day, so there's like a lot of things that I can ask you that I couldn't be asking the other people. So like what I'm interested about is like, for example, when I was your age, I like dreamed about becoming like, you know, someone like Paulo Vitor Rosa, and I also thought that it was actually possible, right? I couldn't really perceive how insane those like best players actually are. I just like thought that I'm gonna be the best player in the world. Do you like have these thoughts, or like what's your opinion about these things?
Oh, when I first started getting into competitive Magic, I loved just watching the old Pro Tour videos. I would go back many years in the archives, and some of the players just have become some of the people I really idolized, and it's crazy now that I've gotten to meet many of them. It's a very cool meeting your heroes moment.
Mm-hmm.
I think when I was younger, I thought I can be up there, I can play in the World Championship, but the moment I think I played against someone of that caliber, I kind of realized, oh wow, they're really good at this game. Yeah. Like, I have a long way to go still.
Mm-hmm. But is that something that you like want to potentially go for, or is it more like, well, I have like a lot of free time, you know, I'm still a kid, I'm sorry, I don't want to like insult you or anything, so you're just spending a lot of time doing it? Or like, do you maybe want to do it like even when you're like in your 20s? Like, what do you think? Obviously it might change over the time, but like, what do you think right now?
I really just love playing Magic. I love like the social aspect, as I said before. I love like the mind games. I love trying to bluff people out. And I just love all aspects of the game, really. And I think that I'll certainly keep playing essentially throughout my life, even if I don't do it at a competitive level. Once I probably like get a job and go to college and all that.
Oh, so you're not actually like that competitive. It's just that like you just play it a lot, and you like happen to like win some tournaments, but you don't really like, you're not really aspiring to be like, I don't know, you know, LSD.
I would say, well, it's definitely, that's something I really want to do. And I think I am a competitive person in the way that if Magic didn't have the Pro Tour, there'd be no chance I'd be playing. Mm-hmm. It's that the thrill of the competition, the winning, and all of that is really important to me. But I also don't think I want to like make this my full-time job as much as I love playing. And so that's why right now I've got so much time on my hands, and I really want to see if I can like be the very best. So that's what I've been trying to do over these past few years.
Mm-hmm. So you've mentioned that like you don't really want this to be your full-time job, which makes sense, especially given the fact that you're like from United States. Obviously the average like salary or like cost of living is like way higher than, for example, where I live, so it like makes sense that you don't want to pursue that. I think you guys actually go to college around like 16 or 17, right? Like super early. Is that a case?
Yes, that's 17. I'll head to college in 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm. So are you like already thinking about that? Because you said that you won't have like different full-time jobs, you're probably maybe already thinking about that. If that's like inconvenient question, you don't have to answer, but
no, I sort of think about my future, but not too much. I kind of like to live in the moment, and I've got like a couple colleges I've got my eyes on, but nothing more than that.
Mm-hmm. And any like major that you would be interested in, like maybe you like coding or something? You don't know it?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm interested in basically everything. I really like math, but I also would be interested in law. I'd be interested in politics. So, no idea.
That makes it kind of hard for me to ask the next question. I thought that you're gonna say something, but you didn't give me like any rope to. Let's see. Is there anything that you want to talk about? Let's just put it that way.
See, actually, one of the cooler things I've done with Magic recently is I started a Magic camp, essentially.
Oh, you said that in the messages. I forgot to ask that. Yeah, you teach like 20 people, right?
Yeah, a bunch of kids like aged 9 to 11 or 12. And I teach them weekly. Just on at first it started with how to play and all of that, but now it's more advanced strategy. They play tournaments against each other.
Wow.
And yeah, it's been a really cool experience teaching all these kids how to play and seeing them go from not knowing how to cast their spells to making really good strategic decisions.
How did you got into that? Did someone told you about that, or like how did it happen?
Well, during quarantine, I always wanted to do something related to teaching, and especially since Magic was something I've been very good at. And so a couple neighborhood, like family friends, were interested in learning. And since then, it's kind of expanded beyond that to a bigger group of kids as the months went on.
I see. So you said they're like 10 or 11-ish, right?
Yeah, pretty young, so around as old as I started. One of them is actually 8 years old. He's the youngest.
Wow.
And he has a little trouble keeping up with everyone else, but he puts a lot of effort in.
Are there any like, pretty good players? Like, do you see any talent that can maybe like, oh, this guy is like really good. If he like tries, he can maybe go to the Pro Tour. Is that happening or not?
I don't know yet. I'm hoping that under my tutelage, some of these kids can go to the Pro Tour and really play at the highest level. I know once the first GPGC comes back, I'll be taking all of them. We'll go on a field trip.
It's just crazy that you're like 15, but you're like already in the position of like the grand elder who just like takes all these kids to the tournament. Like, I'm 27, so I feel like super old right now. But
I'm sure you're not that old. I'll be there. I'll be 27. Not too long.
well, it's actually true. You might not be realizing it right now, but you will be there immediately. So.
No, I don't want to think like that. No, I'm scared. I've got lots of things I need to do first.
Do you want to go anywhere with that? Like, you're probably not doing it for that long, right? But like, what if another 30 kids tell you, well, I want you to teach us as well? Like, there's just gonna be too many kids. Do you maybe think about like expanding it or like bring more teachers? Like, are you thinking about these things?
Yeah, during quarantine, I've tried to keep it generally small, so we haven't taken any new students over after like the original, there's original like 5 or 6 kids, and now it's grown around 20. We aren't taking any more just because I don't want to have the classes be too big. But once quarantine's over, I definitely want to make it a more involved thing. I'm probably going to I have 2 close friends who are also pretty good at Magic, who I'd love to help me teach and join in like in the program. I've got this like dream of taking all these little like 11-year-olds to the next GP. Hopefully one of them will top 8. And
that would be insane. How often are these classes happening?
I'm doing like 2 or 3 classes a week, with around 4 kids each.
I see.
So that each group of kids gets around a class every other week.
It just seems so crazy to me that like during this age, like there are just like so many kids that want to do that. Like, I cannot imagine that being the case where I live. Like, no one is really interested, especially with like the young kids. How did you like get all these kids? Did you just like, did they tell you, well, I want you, like maybe the parents told you, can you teach our kids, or like how did it happen?
So yeah, it was a little bit of just some parents in the neighborhood, who obviously it's an interesting activity. I think a big part of it was the fact that, oh wait, at 13, like I made a whole lot of money playing Magic, and these parents were like, oh hey, our kids should do that too.
But like, how do you start interacting with like these parents, right? It seems kind of weird. Are they just?
A lot of them were friends of my parents and stuff like that. So that's how they kind of got into contact, and then friends of my parents, and some of my friends' younger siblings and stuff like that.
Wow, that's awesome. Did you maybe think about coaching on the internet as well, or do you just like really enjoy the in-person interaction?
I don't think I'm good enough to coach like anyone other than brand new players. I've tried a couple lessons online, but it ends up being a lot harder to do. Just because you can't really like if you do it on Arena, they have to share their screens, and like 10 and 11-year-olds just don't really enjoy it.
That makes sense. Did you maybe not coaching, but like, did you think about making Magic content? You said that you're making the cooking thing on TikTok, so you have some roots already. And I think that because like young people are always super popular, so you're young, you're good at Magic. So I think that if you just like put out like a bunch of videos, like people would maybe like them. Did you think about that?
I thought about a long time ago when I was first playing Magic.
Long time ago. Do you mean like 1 year or something?
2 years.
All right.
I started like a booster box opening channel where after I go to GPs, I normally have like 5 or 10 booster boxes, and I just open them up. And the only people who ever watch those are my friends. But I haven't really done much major content creation. I wrote 1 article for Channel Fireball after I qualified for the Pro Tour. but I don't know. I really don't know if I'm good enough at Magic to teach people that much.
Well, you don't like it's not, you don't necessarily have to teach them, right? You just like play or like do something. It doesn't necessarily have to be like I'm better than you guys, I'm gonna like teach you something. It's more going to be more about like entertainment, right?
Yeah, I've done a couple of Twitch streams. I've commentated a couple events that were put on by the other Magic kids, which was definitely something I really loved doing. But yeah, I haven't done much. Haven't put much thought into like doing a YouTube channel or writing articles more consistently. I just think the opportunity hasn't really come up for me.
Well, you can just do it, right? Like, you know, you can be the one who's proactive. So
yeah.
I've
been
go ahead. Sorry.
For a while during the summer, on my Twitter, I would make sideboard guides for all the top decks. I'd just go through all the top decks in Standard, but ended up taking me far too long once school started to take 2 or 3 hours to play all the games, make sure I had a really solid sideboard plan, go talk with other people who had played the deck, make sure I wasn't messing anything up, and then post it. They did pretty well.
Yeah, was it popular? What was it? Probably was, right?
Yeah, actually, I got they were pretty popular. Like probably 200 or 300 likes each, which is pretty good for Magic stuff, especially for a small Twitter like mine.
Okay. I think I've asked the things that I wanted to ask about. Thanks for talking with me. I was impressed. If you guys like the video, please click on the like and subscribe button, and definitely follow this young boy on the Twitter as well, and TikTok. I forgot to mention the TikTok. If you want to learn how to cook, then you should definitely do that. And see you. Bye bye.
Thank you so much for having me.